What's up, everybody? Good morning. It is Saturday morning, and this is Multifamily Unplugged. I am so glad that you're here today because you are in for an episode, that's for sure. And not that we're going to have an episode, but we are going to have a great show, and you're going to enjoy my guest. But before we get to that, we're here every Saturday morning, 10 a.m., and we're talking about multifamily, some facet of multifamily, right? Small, medium, large, and everything that goes as part of that, raising capital, underwriting, due diligence, whatever, bringing good content to you that is going to help you scale your business, help you grow your multifamily portfolio. So what I ask you all the time, though, is, are you being intentional? What are you being intentional about? Here we are, it's Saturday morning, it's the weekend. What are you going to be intentional about this weekend? Do you have some work to catch up on this morning? Do you need to get to the gym? Are you going to spend some time with your kids or family? Whatever that is, be intentional about your activities. We all have choices, right? We make these choices in our life to either be successful or not be successful. And that doesn't just necessarily mean around business, right? I believe that it's about our personal life too. How do we become successful in our personal life? Because none of us grow professionally unless we're growing personally. So invest in yourself, invest in your education, invest in your mindset. The more you invest in that, the greater results you're going to have everywhere else in your life. So glad you're here. Be intentional. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Before I get to that, if you are new to the show this morning, there's a comment box. Throw some comments in the chat. Ask my guest questions. We'll get those answers back to you. And if you're on YouTube this morning, hit that subscribe button. Would you subscribe to that channel? Because every day I'm bringing out new content relevant for where we're at in the marketplace, what's going on in the market, and how to further your knowledge to grow your business. Hey, if you're following us on social media, like us, love us, Facebook, LinkedIn, we're here for you. So connect with us so that we can continue to connect with you. But my guest today is a longtime friend, somebody I had on the show a couple of years ago now, Augustino Pintus. He's with Bulletproof Cash Flow. And we're going to talk about private equity, private capital this morning. So let me bring him in. What's up, buddy?
How you doing, bud?
I'm good to be here. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a long while. Yeah, too long.
I've been loving your social media, though, man.
Thanks,
you got a presence out there, that's for sure. So
yeah, appreciate it. Thanks.
I learn a lot by social media stuff. Edits and the things they say and topics, and listen, anybody can do it, right?
Well, anybody can do it. It's a matter of execution. You have to be able to walk the walk is a big part of it too. And showing up, you got to show up. If you don't show up every day, it's very hard to become successful at anything. Honestly.
Yeah, I have an interesting thing coming up this week. On Monday, I have a guy who's going to follow me around with a camera. So that should be a little bit interesting because normally, we're all doing our own thing with, holding the phone out there. And so this will be a little different spin. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. Just don't rent the fake Ferrari and do all that.
I don't do any stacks of cash, pretend airplanes. And hey, listen, let's jump in. So I always start, I love to ask them one question, right? In one word, what best describes you personally and professionally?
I would say responsible. That's probably the best word I can come up with. Responsible.
And
responsible.
What where's that come from? What's that mean to you? Why?
So when I worked in corporate for a long time before I made the shift out of corporate America into real estate. And when I made the rise through the ranks in corporate America, I made it to the C level. I was in the C-suite running large enterprise technology. So technology was my bag. That's what I really love to do is running large technology groups. And no matter what happens in any type of business setting, technology is somewhere in there, right? So no matter what, tech, me, have to be responsible for basically the background operation. I'm not trying to take credit for any other types of like HR or accounting or operations or whatever. I'm not trying to take credit or take anything away from those groups. But without the underlying technology to make those groups function, nothing happens, right? So that kind of responsibility really bled into other parts of my life, right? Because when you're a C-level guy or girl and you have that depth of responsibility across an entire enterprise, you tend to be responsible. Like you instill that way of being in everything you do. Yeah. Right? You're responsible for capital raising. You're responsible for finding the deals. You're responsible for the capital stack. You're responsible for making sure that the operation runs right. You're responsible for everything, right? And when you're responsible like that, things get done, right? They have to. Yeah. They have to get done, So responsible.
Hey, whether you're a leader or not, and you take on that responsibility, you kind of step into that place, right? Yeah. And now all of a sudden you've made that choice, and now you have to excel. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I kind of look at what we do today as being that lead on the team, right? You got to have a great team behind you. But, I heard something interesting. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, just a little clip where, it was actually a Tony Robbins thing I was listening to. He was being interviewed, and he said, great leaders learn to delegate. And and it was like, it clicked for me, but it was one of those things that, I love. Once you learn how to delegate and you give that away and you get somebody else to do it, and as long as it's being done properly, it makes your life so much easier because it gives you the bandwidth to go and do a little bit more, right?
Yeah. And then I totally agree with delegating, but then there's the other side of the coin to Tony's quote. Trust but verify. So right. It goes back to what you said a second ago, right? It's kind of like, yes, delegate, but you better make damn sure that the people you're delegating to can actually pull it off. So that's where there's some sort of level of trust required. You have to sort of like try them out. Are they going to be okay doing what I'm asking them to do? Can I handle more stuff if I throw it at them? And when you're trying to build any type of business, that's probably one of the more difficult things to do, right? Is feel out that team and make sure they can actually execute, especially on an operations side. I mean, listen, buying a deal is easy. Running it for 10 years straight profitably is hard. No guru on Facebook is going to tell you that. They all talk about hurry up, get into a deal. That's fine and dandy. If you can't execute on that deal, all you do is push it on someone else, let them handle it. That's a big risk that you really don't want to take. Like that's where the term responsible comes in. It's like you have to make sure that you're staying on top of those folks. Not micromanaging. I hate micromanaging, man. That's not my thing either. I don't like doing that. But it's like you got to make sure they have a good group running your stuff. That's a big part of it. I don't have any problems delegating. That's for sure. It's like you have a good group running your stuff. That's the hard part.
Yeah. So, it's interesting because I feel like I've got a good team around me. I got a great, and I have a partner who is just so detail oriented and dots all the I's and crosses the T's and keeps me in alignment, right? Like sometimes I feel like she manages me from the backside, right? Which is just great because then that gives me the ability to go out and pull together some of the other components of that team to bring a deal to the market, right?
Yeah, that's beautiful. See, the thing is, though, it's like guys like you and I figured it out, right? It's like there's a system called P.A.S.E, P-A.S.E, practical, action, social, emotional. And
say it again. That was good.
Practical, action, social, emotional. All right. So think of it as like 4 blocks. Okay. And everyone is made up of these 4 blocks, but some are higher than others. And there's an order to it. I'm an APES. I'm action, practical, emotional, then social. I'm not very social, right? I'm 100% action, intense all the time, right? And that's good for certain things, right? If you're going to be the guy running the show, the CEO of a business, whether guy or girl, whatever, the person in charge, maybe you want to be an APES, but you don't want to be the second in command. You don't want them being just like you, because then nothing gets done. Like things get started but never get finished, right? If you have a PEAS, a practical emotion action social, for instance, those people are the ones typically, they're detail-oriented people. Those folks are the CPAs, they're your operators, they're your COOs, those folks, right? So you want to have a variety of different people in your group. At the same time, too, if you are a PEAS and you're in the top position, you better have an APES as a second, right? To make sure that stuff is getting done. Because if you have too many P's in your pod, you're gonna have a hard time because nothing's gonna get done. Like there's no action being taken. Because I don't want to sound like action guys are the only thing, and maybe that's how I am, right? I'm an action guy, but without the action people pushing the business agenda forward, it's going to be very hard to see any type of success in your life, So that's why having a good coach, that's why going to masterminds, being engaged with folks like that to kind of help you, give you a push if you're looking for that kind of thing is a great thing to have in your life in general, but also for running your business too.
Yeah, I remember being a kid growing up. My mom, one of my mom's favorite sayings, along with a number of them, but too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah, exactly.
So, hey, listen. So it's been a couple of years since you and I have done a show together, and I was really excited. When somebody said, "Hey, do you want to have Augustino on your show?" I said, "Absolutely." So I'm really excited we got connected. And but last time you're in Columbus, right?
No, I'm in Cleveland.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So you're in Cleveland. You were working on a pretty big project.
Yeah.
Talk about that building. I don't remember. I know it was
Rockefeller.
The Rockefeller building.
Yeah,
right. Listen, by the way, as a side note, I'm going to be in Cleveland in June.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, hit me up. Yeah, for sure.
I would definitely love to hook up. Coming out to go to a wedding. Going to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Museum. Let's definitely make sure we get together.
Absolutely. I'll be here.
Okay, great. So go ahead, talk about that project.
Yeah. Well, before I step into that project, I'll give you and the audience a little bit of an update as to where we are, because I think last time we spoke, we're just really headstrong on one side of the business, which was the acquisition of stabilized B and C class assets, and we're still doing that to some extent today. It's just tougher to find deals that pencil, right? So. We're still doing that. We're still operating the current assets, and we have some 1,600 units currently. But really, the second part, the development side, like deals like Rockefeller, are where the current biggest part of our business operation is today. So we have these adaptive reuse type projects where we're converting office space to multifamily, right? So Rockefeller is one of them. Since we last spoke, have acquired we've done we have 5 other ground up development projects going, and we've acquired medical offices too to do all the same sort of thing. We're building multifamily basically, right, in and around Cleveland. We have, in terms of development, we probably have about 120 million of development in play right now, not including Rockefeller. Rockefeller by itself is 130 million. So yeah, we have a lot of development underway, right? And the development is serving the need of this need for housing. Like obviously everybody knows about this need for housing. People are clamoring for more housing, and that's where that development aspect is coming in to what we're doing. We specifically target urban infill, right? So what that means is I'm not doing crazy deals out in the middle of nowhere, 300 units, in a tertiary market. I don't do those deals. That to me is too scary. I like doing urban infill, meaning you have adaptive reuse of existing offices. You have ground up of some land bank land, and you could acquire some houses nearby, tear it all down, and build something new and nice for the neighborhood. Stuff like that. I like doing stuff like that. Wherever there's activity, there's money. It doesn't matter what kind of deal it is. If there's activity in that area, if there's cars and there's people, there's always money there. You want to be in the center of where the money is, no matter what the deal is, right? The third line of business that we've started since way after we spoke was a net lease business. So we have a blind pool fund that acquires single tenant net lease assets, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Walgreens, stuff like that. So we go off and we buy these existing deals that are corporate backed guarantee, right? They have leases in play. They're already running. There's ongoing concern, and we deliver a monthly return to the investors. So it's a risk-adjusted return. Sure, it's not going to be as juicy as, like, say, a development or a multifamily. But if you want standard monthly cash flow, that's what you want. You want to get into that fund, right?
And that's great for the coupon clippers, right?
Exactly. That's why we did it. We had investors that we might have been between deals, but they still wanted to deploy some cash and get some money back. It's a great way to do that. It's a great way to have for our investors to invest with us and be involved across the whole spectrum of different asset classes, right?
So are you building the triple net deals? So are you building the Dollar General? You're buying what's existing, and they're the owner who owns it is getting out. When you do that, are you absorbing any tenant base along with that, or any investor base along with that?
No.
So if you go buy a CVS, right? And I think a lot of people don't know these triple net deals, right? You got Walgreens, CVS, AutoZone, Dollar General, Family Dollar stores. There's so many, and there's fast food restaurants too that are all, that's where I think McDonald's separates itself from some of the other fast food franchises, is they own the real estate, right?
Yeah.
McDonald's is in the real estate business. They're not in the hamburger business.
Yeah.
And they've said that for years. But anyhow, when you buy that asset, are you absorbing an existing base of investors also?
No. So what we're doing is, like, say, Dollar General. I'll give a better example. We're buying a VCA animal hospital, right?
Okay.
So this VCA animal hospital, most people don't know it. You know the Mars Corporation, Mars Incorporated?
Yeah.
Right? They make the chocolate bars.
Absolutely.
But this company does $22 billion in revenue a year. They're enormous. This is the original Mars family. Like, this is them, right? And they own a lot of, like, animal related product, like food, pet food, stuff like that. Well, they're also in the hospital business, the pet hospital business, right?
Yeah.
So you have that, and that's a corporate backed VCA deal, right? So we buy the land, we buy the structure, we buy the lease, everything. We buy the whole kit and caboodle. It's all backed by VCA. So if for whatever reason the doctor decides I want to shut down the practice or whatever, whatever happens, the lease is still corporate backed. They're responsible for that lease for the entire term.
So what is VCA, just so people understand?
Veterinary Care Associates, I think is what it stands for. Right.
So,
But it's an animal hospital. Hospital. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. But same thing as Dollar General. Same thing, same concept. Dollar General, Dollar Tree. We're looking to acquire assets that had that did just fine, no problems during the pandemic. So we're positioning this to be pretty much like pandemic proof, so to speak, right? That no matter what happens, that cash flow is always coming in, no matter what.
So let's talk about this for a minute. Let's talk about focus, okay? I've been speaking a lot publicly lately, and I had a guy come up to me a month ago. I was doing an event in Wisconsin, and he said, listen, I think my biggest challenge over the years in real estate is I didn't focus on one asset class. Yeah. Because I did office, I did retail, I did triple net, I did this. And it sounds to me like you're still doing your BC assets, you're doing your development stuff, you're doing some triple net stuff. How do you feel that, does that disrupt your focus, or is there just so much bandwidth out there in capital and people want to be involved in other things that it makes sense for you?
No, it's you have to delegate. Mike, didn't you hear what Tony Robbins said? No,
yeah, well, you know what?
Seriously, but seriously, no. So I'm very lucky that I have great partners that are involved with these deals, right? So in the case of the net lease business, the Fortress Fund, right? it's really my wife, and we have some other friends, really good friends of ours that are in that business, and they pretty much run the day-to-day operation of that business. So I'm involved, right? Actively involved, but it's like the wife is running the day-to-day of that business, right? And she's also very much a detail-oriented, she's a P, right? So she gets down to the weeds. She does a deep analysis. She's determining how many cars go by, how much revenue is being generated. She does all that stuff. Where guys like you and I, we could do it, but it's not. Maybe we don't like doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, she's excellent at that stuff, right? She loves doing that stuff. You want a data person doing that role, right? So she's great at it. And then on the development side, that's where primarily a lot of my focus is these days, is just on the development side. And the thing about the operational side of these existing multifamily assets is that once you buy the asset, you conduct your transition of the asset to, you put your business plan into place, and you're running it on a regular basis, and you have a good, strong management team in play. There's not a whole lot to do in terms of like regular operating. You know what I mean? It's like you're meeting with the group once a week. You're going through the numbers. Are they hitting the targets? If they are, then great. If they're not, then of course you have to make some adjustments. But I mean, we've owned these assets for a while now, right? And we've already executed our plan in terms of the business improvement plan of the asset itself. So once you do all that, as long as you're executing properly, you're delivering your returns, everything's okay, right? So the bulk of my attention is now on the development side of things, because that's, as I said, that's where the biggest growth is. That's where the biggest growth is these days, and because of a lot of capital goes into those deals, both investor capital and bank capital, you kind of have to have your eye on it,
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about this for a minute. So we know that any of this, no matter what it is, I mean, I'm doing a C deal in Tulsa right now. It's all a function of capital. It's all a function of capital. You said something interesting, and I'm going to call you out on this because I don't believe it for a minute, but you said you're not a very social person. And I see you all over social media. And to raise capital, you've got to have something in you that allows you to do that. So, let's talk about your capital raising efforts and raising private capital, because really, like I said, nothing happens in our world. It's all a function of the capital. And how do we get to more investors to partner alongside of us to share in the returns that we can offer and bring to the marketplace, even in the way they say the market is today? Because I don't believe it for a minute.
Yeah, I think part of it is that you have to deliver value all the time. You're delivering value all the time. You're putting other people first before you put yourself first. That's really what it comes down to. I know it sounds all cliche or whatever, but it's true, right? What you said earlier, it's like I'm on social media all the time, and I'm always putting out there. Yes, I'm delivering. I try to deliver as much value as I can. It takes time and effort to think about what am I going to talk about, what am I going to record, get all the editing, get all the stuff posted and everything else like that. It takes time and money just to do that alone, let alone over 400 episodes of Bulletproof Cash Flow. As you know, these podcasts, these streams, these shows are not cheap to produce. You have a whole team of people just doing that. Okay. It takes effort. And there has to be a purpose. I said earlier, there has to be an intent behind it. And if the intent is to deliver value for other people as the priority, conceivably, when people are ready to invest and they kind of know who you are, they've heard of you, they see your material, they're like, oh my God, I've heard of this Augustino guy. I heard of this cat. He's pretty cool. He's posting great material all the time. They'll get to know you. And if they know you, maybe they'll even like you. And if they like you, they might even trust you. It's those three things. I know it sounds all cliche, but if you're delivering value first, they get to know you, then they can flow you.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't know you, you're not getting any flow of any kind. Right? That's probably one of the biggest things that people that people don't do. It's like a lot of people sit on the couch and wait for things to happen, and it's not going to happen. It takes a lot of effort, it takes work, But today it's easier than ever because of all the social media that we do have at our disposal now. It is easy to get your word out there. It is easy to get the message out there, but what you can do to help people get to where they want to go, because that's what it comes down to. If you can help other people get to where they want to go, you can help enough of them, then you get what you want too.
Yeah.
But you have to put them first. Always. You always have to put them first.
Zig Ziglar said that years ago. Help enough people get what they want, you'll ultimately get what you want.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I think one of the best books I ever read was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I believe that should be a mandatory book in the high schools, especially today in the environment that we're in today. But we could do a whole show on that.
Well, you're still in Chicago. You're still in Chicago, right? I mean, maybe you can start distributing that book in downtown or something. I don't want to get political. I'm going to shut up now.
A good friend of mine is a CPS school teacher, and he taught in private school for about 5 years, and went to the public school system this year, and he's quitting. He just, and I don't blame him, right? I mean, kids are getting shot and beat up, and he gets in trouble for reprimanding kids. So it's just, discipline needs to start at home. And like I said, that's a whole nother show. But hey, so here's what I want to know. Do you have people, when you're raising capital and bringing a deal to the market and looking for LPs, limited partners, to invest alongside you and share in the rewards, are people calling you or are you outreaching?
We do a little of both. It's constant outreach all the time, and for something. I'm not always out there with my hand out. It's the outreach is really, hey, we bought a new deal. Let me tell you about this deal that we just bought. Here's how it works. Or, hey, you know what? Here's the five steps to how to run a property correctly. Maybe an LP cares, maybe they don't. Maybe they're invested in other deals. Maybe that LP eventually wants to become a GP and they want to learn how to do this. It's always just delivering as much value as I can. Again, if I can be in front of not only our investors, our existing audience of investors, but also in front of new investors too. And I'm never asking. If you notice on many of my posts ever, if you watch any of them, I never say subscribe. I never say hit me up, or I never say like give me something. I never do. I probably should. I never did.
I do all the time. Watch. Hey, if you're new to the show and you're on YouTube right now, smash the subscribe button, because
I probably should do that.
We bring stuff like this all the time because this is killer this morning. I mean, people, and I'm gonna syndicate this also. So we're doing this show this morning, but I'm also gonna put this on my insider secrets. Right. Yeah. Because I think we're dropping some nuggets here for people this morning that are valuable. So I know that one of the things for me, I like going out and shaking hands, kissing babies, meeting people, Ronald Reagan used to talk about that all the time, like them or love them, or like them or hate them. But, he used to talk about that all the time. And I like getting out and meeting people, but I don't know that I always like going to a real estate function. I want to go to something else. I want to go to your generic networking event, or I want to go to a event where there's going to be a bunch of doctors, or, because I want to meet people that are outside of my arena, because a lot of times I find people don't know what a great opportunity we offer.
Yeah. So,
talk about where you're meeting people and how you're building your database.
It's primarily through social media right now, but you're 100% right in terms of the funnel, right? Many people at the top of the funnel up here, they may have heard about real estate, but they don't understand how to get into the real estate game. And I've spoken to many of these folks, right? They're confused. They think they have to do notes. They got to do single family. They got to do multifamily. Think about investing in a self-storage unit. I'm going to partner up with my buddy and buy a bar. I had one lady that said she wanted to go and do an event center and like in a shady part of town, like to hold wedding events. And I'm like, and she thinks that's real estate. And I'm like, no, that's hospitality. Yeah. That is not real estate. It's real estate insofar as there's a piece of real estate. That's it. That's as far as it goes. It's not real estate, right? And part of it is a lack of focus. And that's why it's like I said, listen, I can show you how to buy real estate in our training program, or you can invest alongside with a whole bunch of other people in a nice big asset with very good debt on it that you can never get on your own and enjoy the returns of a deal like that, right? So there's multiple ways of doing it, but part of it is educating them, right? That's why the social media reach, as long as you're putting information out there and you can get in front of the right person, as long as you're educating those people at the very top of the funnel there, to get them into the funnel, to eventually educate them enough to invest with you, right? I think fortunately, because of social media, people have learned a great deal more about real estate and how it works. I mean, syndication, the whole concept of syndication has really exploded, I'd say, the past 10, 15 years. But there's still people that are just confused, and they really do need help getting into deals. Like they need help getting into deals. They need assistance getting into their first deal too, you know? So we help people get into the first deal. We help people build their syndication businesses. We do both, you know, because it's that important. The dollar's going to zero. The dollar will go to zero. I wish I could say that I'm Nostradamus number 2. The dollar is going to zero. We all know it. It's a fiat currency. Every fiat currency goes to zero. And you have to secure your future with real estate. So many people might see that in the news saying all the stuff with the US dollar, but they don't know what to do with that information.
Right.
It's got to go in real estate. That's where it goes. It's got to go into hard assets.
Yeah, the hard assets, right? Brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Where the value is going to retain your capital investment. And this is, you know, when I talk to people about partnering with us on an offering, we talk about protection of your capital, your principal, because in the stock market, it's going away. It's bleeding. We talk about the cash flow that real estate provides, and we talk about the long-term wealth. And I really, you know, there's some people that, you know, they're all cash flow. They want cash flow, which is great. But at the end of the day, you spend it, right? Where if you have long-term wealth, you're building your future. So I think you have to have a good balance of both in building this platform. People say, why don't you invest in Chicago? And I say, I don't invest in Chicago because it's all cash flow. I don't get the appreciation here as I can get in Florida or Texas or Oklahoma, you know, in other parts of the country, right?
Are you ready to skyrocket your investment portfolio and leave a legacy? Are you tired of inconsistent returns received in the stock market? Then it's time you take a look at alternative investment options like a passive investment in multifamily real estate. No tenants, trash, or toilets. Just a solid return on an annual investment, including quarterly returns along the way. These lower risk and secure assets are also a great hedge against inflation. If you want to hear more about these types of opportunities, email me directly to schedule a 15-minute consultation to see if you qualify. You can email me at mike@mycoreintentions.com.
Well, it's also got to be, I think you already know this too, if it's not friendly to the owners of the real estate, including the limited partners who are owners in the real estate too, it brings in a whole new level of risk that could easily be avoided, but just not doing that specific deal, you know? Right. So why expose yourself to the risk? The upside is not worth it because there is none, right? So why do the deal, right? Yeah. And I'm not trying to dump on, you know, blue areas or whatever. It's not about that. It's just about applying logic. You know, if I'm going to be the steward of my investors' money, I have to do what's best for my investors and for myself to put it into a deal that I know is going to be safe and with a good return, right? That's why I call the business Bulletproof Cash Flow, not bulletproof appreciation or anything else like that, right? I want to make sure that I can eventually get the cash out and give it back to the investors with a nice, healthy return. That's the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal. So let me ask you this: what is, other than social media, what is one of your top systems or techniques for attracting limited partner investors to come into your world and invest alongside you?
So what we do is we also do video updates. Okay, a lot of GPs don't do the video updates, and if you for most GPs, you usually prepare a monthly or quarterly type of report, right? You're doing the work anyway. Why not take the extra step of putting a video, a 3-minute video, 4-minute video? You don't even have to edit it. Just talk, and then they could not only just read about it, they could see you speak it, and you could also add any type of special type of things about how you feel if something's going right or something's not going so well. It gives the audience, your LPs, a certain level of comfort knowing that there's actually a face and there's a voice behind those words on a page, right? And that's important. That's important to a lot of people, It really is. And so, because typically if your LPs are happy, they'll keep on investing with you. And the biggest part of keeping a nice and healthy LP group is that once they see that the money comes in, they put in more money, and they tell all their friends to put in their money.
Oh, you see it over and over and over.
Over and over again. Like our net lease fund, we have just about everybody is a repeat customer now. Like they saw that, oh my God, I'm getting a monthly check, like as if we're lying. Like they go, oh my God, I'm getting a monthly check, right? Yeah, of course you are. We told you would, right? And we deliver it like clockwork every month. The same day comes in, boom, 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 comes in, right? And they're like, hey, when's the next one opening up? So we're opening up in April. Oh, okay. Well, let me know when it comes out because I want to put more money into it. It's like, okay, well, great. Because the current one's closed, and we have another one that's going to be opening up here soon after this next deal is shut down. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's just, you have to do right by people. That's really what it comes down to. That's why I said earlier, it's easy to buy a deal. It's super easy to buy a deal.
Especially if you overpay.
Especially if you overpay.
Right.
Yeah, and if anybody overpays for stuff right now, they're going to get hurt in a big way, man. I mean, right now, you don't even need to tell you this. Yeah. It's hard out there to find a decent deal. It really is. It really is. Yeah, you really have to know what you're doing. You really have to know what you're doing if you're going to get into a deal.
Well, this is the market, like you said, I like what you said, over the last 10, 15 years, this has really blown up the syndication business. But we're in a market right now that's going to separate the good operators from the not so good operators.
Yeah.
Or the great operators from just the good operators, right? Because I think a lot of people got in the business and they thought, oh, this is going to be easy. And when you got the wind at your back, anything's easy.
Yeah.
But when you're riding a bicycle into the wind, it's a little bit tougher and form. So one thing, hey, listen, you got experience. I've got a lot of experience. I've got some failures. I'm sure you've got some failures, and experience is one thing, but wisdom is another thing. And I think that you and I both come to the table with a boatload of wisdom that our investors can benefit from. So, hey, glad you're here. Why don't you real quick tell people about your book, your ebook that they can go download, how they get a hold of you and reach out to you.
Absolutely. So if someone's out there right now, they might have tuned in to learn more about raising capital, right? Obviously, we didn't go into all of the details here today, but there's a free ebook I wrote. It's pretty extensive. It's guidetocapital.com. Just go there, put in your email, download it. It's totally free, right? But it's pretty comprehensive, I think. It doesn't go into the weeds in terms of everything, but you know what though? It's a very good starting point for what to say it, how to dress, who to call, the whole 9 yards, right? And it's a good starting point, I think, for many, many folks out there. And it's delivered in a very straightforward approach because I'm a straightforward kind of guy. It's the only way I know how to do things. So.
And if people want to reach out to you, they can go to your website, bulletproofcashflow.com.
Yeah.
send you an email.
That's right. Go there. We're on social media. We're pretty much everywhere. So yeah, pretty easy to find.
Okay, great. So always ask 3 bonus questions before we end. What's the best book you ever read?
On the Shortness of Life by Seneca.
Okay. I think you mentioned that last time.
It's still the best. I mean, hey, listen, we all live our life like we're going to live forever. You know, we wake up, we open our eyes every morning, and we think that, oh, it's just another day. You're just another day closer to death. So you better make that day count. That's the way you got to look at it.
Yeah. You know, more 20-year-olds should absorb that right now. You know, because I remember when I was 20, I felt like I was infallible, right?
Yeah, you think you're invincible. You think nothing can happen to you. But you know, it's the older you get, it's so hard to explain to anybody. The older you get, and then you start seeing your friends, the people you grew up with, and they start having ailments and having problems in their lives, and it's not always just health problems, other problems too, and which is part of life. And yeah, it's material. It will change a person, you know. And part of building success in this business is to remember that you're not going to live here forever, and you have to put the most you can to every single day. You have to, you know, and make every day count, because we're running out of days. Whether you're 20 or 50, you're running out of days. Yeah, you're running out of daylight.
Yeah. I got it.
Well,
this was such a good show till just now. Hey, best restaurant.
Best restaurant. Wow. You know, what's funny is that I try not to embellish too much on food, believe it or not. I really don't. If I had to pick one, the only one that comes to mind right at this very moment is Cleveland Vegan, because I'm vegetarian.
Okay.
And I used to be like really, really, really overweight, and I lost a bunch of weight, and I work out every day. So I really try to I maintain a very healthy lifestyle. I don't even try. I just do. So by doing so, what I'm also doing is limiting any type of bad stuff. I don't eat chicken wings. I don't drink beer. I barely drink at all, actually. And I don't eat hamburgers. I don't eat bad stuff at all. Like, it's mostly egg whites, Ezekiel bread, like protein bars, like stuff like that, and a workout 1 to 2 times a day, right? So it's again, shortness of life, right? I want to have a decent quality of life when I'm into my 60s and my 70s. So I got to start that, you know, today, right? Yeah. And but it also includes not going out to eat too much. So. But when I do, it's going to be there, right? It's nothing fancy, but you know what? They have great Cleveland or great vegan stuff. They're great vegetarian stuff there. So yeah, it's good.
Well, listen, when I get to Cleveland, definitely we'll go out and experience your lifestyle a little bit, and I'd love to see a couple of your projects when I get out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Show me around a little bit, so that'd be great. Thanks for being here. I'm going to move you to the back room. Say goodbye. If you hang with me for a minute, that'd be great.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Hey, everybody. That was a great episode today. And I love Augustino. You know, we just one of those people you have a good connection with, you know, and things kind of flow. So listen, if you want to know more about what he's doing on the triple net side or the development side, or even just the multifamily side, and seems like somebody that you can be connected with, then reach out to him at bulletproofcashflow.com. And remember, we're here every Saturday bringing a new guest. Sometimes you can go over to Insider Secrets, pick these episodes up as well. If you're in your car, and just ask you again, like us, love us, subscribe. If there's anything that I can do for you, if you have questions, comments, you need anything, reach out. If you're looking for a little coaching, mentoring, guidance, whatever, we could talk about that as well. If you're looking for great real estate opportunities, give me a call. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy